You know, one thing, Ben, that makes me a little hopeful for HeRoMaRinE, even though obviously he did predict Reynor to win this series, is that he already guaranteed himself that top 4 finish. And top 4 is a very big deal in this tournament when it comes to the European qualifiers, that is. Well, qualify is not fair. Let's call it the European department, because now he is already qualified for the season finals, which means extra prize money, but above all, extra EPT points as well. And anybody that watches HeRoMaRinE stream a lot knows that he is obsessed with those EPT points, and he is determined on making it to those global finals next year at the DH SC2 Masters Katowice. So this is kind of like, I don't want to say like he's free rolling this series, but I think the biggest pressure is off, and hopefully HeRoMaRinE can just show his best gameplay now, because he knows he's got another shot at all of this next week anyway with the season finals. That's perhaps going to be even tougher, with obviously a lot of Koreans in the mix as well. But that makes me a little bit hopeful, right?
Absolutely. Whenever like a player, like the pressure's off their shoulders, it's so much easier to then perform. And I think him against uThermal, given that their history has been so close, but the first game started off rough, but then he won the next 3. I think HeRoMaRinE can already be exceptionally happy with how he's done this tournament, because while we do know that he is, I would say, almost absolutely top 5 in Europe, like any day of the week, there are players that are fairly close to him, like the Showtimes of the world and such, which he has managed to beat fairly recently. But going up against Reynor, Reynor's a different beast altogether. Like, when it comes down to, is HeRoMaRinE good enough to beat Reynor? I think he has what it takes to eventually get there, but Reynor, like, we can't dismiss this kid. Like, Reynor's so damn good, it's unreal.
I mean, we just witnessed the best of 5 where it was very evident that speed is, I don't want to say everything in StarCraft 2, but at the highest level, speed matters so incredibly much. And we just witnessed 2 players that are super quick. Oh, whoa, how did the drone not go down? I think it is safe to say that Reynor is the quicker player between these two. HeRoMaRinE would be the first to admit that as well. But I think the key to victory for HeRoMaRinE in this best of 5 would be strategy, right? I think with strategy and basically army movement positioning, HeRoMaRinE absolutely has what it takes to defeat Reynor. He's done it a couple of times this year, but he cannot indeed be playing Reynor's game where it's like, all right, I'm going to split everywhere and drop at the same time and then deal with your run bys, because in that aspect of StarCraft 2, Reynor is simply on another level compared to HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, Kev. Like, Reynor, when it comes down to Ling, Baneling, being here, there, and everywhere, he makes the game so impossibly hard for you as a bio Terran. And this game, we're starting off with something a little bit cheeky from HeRoMaRinE. For a while, this was all the rage, the Fusion Core opening, but it kind of died off a little bit. And I'm not exactly sure why, but with the Queen Range nerf recently, the BC is seemingly a little bit stronger. But I like how HeRoMaRine's starting off this series so far.
I mean, they had that crazy game just the other week. What was that, actually, where they had that ridiculous game that turned into a base trade with 2 battlecruisers fighting queens and spores? I mean, that was kind of amazing. Oh! Okay, that's a cool grenade, and it does mean that these Hellions can get in. Circling speed is not done yet, but it's second away from finishing up. I don't know about this though, Ben. It looks cool and stuff, but how much damage will HeRoMaRinE really get done here? So far, it's only 3 drones. Getting 4 is nice, but 6 in the end. It is quite early in the game, so 6 is a decent number, but that's still 4 Hellions in the Reaper. I don't know.
Losing 4 Hellions for that is definitely like when you get past the Queens with your cool bomb, and then it's like, oh my god, there's still Slowlings here? Like, then you feel very, very confident about dealing a lot of damage, but obviously you would have hoped for more. Maybe there was a few misfires there from the Hellions. Reynor, upon scouting everything with that Overlord, by the way, which was a really nice scout by him, immediately throws down his Lair and a Roach Warren to deal with it.
Yep, I feel like Reynor has also been a little bit of a no-nonsense Zerg lately, where if he feels that he can just kill a Terran, he will. It doesn't always have to be pretty and fancy and cool with multiple Ling run-bys and big explosions everywhere. Nope, sometimes he just streams units to the other side of the map or drops a Nidus and just goes for some Queen Roach Nidus play. We'll see how this one plays out in the end. Here we're with 4 more Hellions right now on the map, and he's still building Hellions, by the way, Ben. Definitely gonna try to get a little bit feisty here. So is this indicating that HeRoMaRinE wants to play some good old mech over here?
It absolutely could mean that. I mean, we have seen Terrans try and transition to bio from here, but it's very unlikely. This BC is now in the main base, and more BCs are being produced as well. Very nice quick pull by Reynor. He does have a Queen and a Spore in the main to greet the BC. Nice transfuse, and that is a lot of Queens. one drone for the BC getting down to half health, definitely not worth it.
Nope, a little bit of lost mining time, but that's about it. The Hellions on the other side not getting anything done either because Roach is already waiting for them on top of the ramp. Getting that Overlord is nice because now Reynor is temporarily supply blocked for a split second. I mean, economically, it all looks all right. You know, normally you'd say like, oh, 53 drones against 49 SCVs. Third command center on the way, or orbital command rather. It's like, ah, that's pretty good for Terran. And it doesn't feel like the trades have been fantastic so far for HeRoMaRinE.
No, they haven't, but I think he's doing a good job of not playing the very, very standard Terran that we usually see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No,
you go, Kev.
No, we were talking about this, right? Like, we
Yeah.
would like to see HeRoMaRinE try to win on strategy, and that's absolutely what we're seeing so far in Game 1. He's not playing the same way as he would have played against some of the other Zergs in Europe. There's not Reynor or Serral, perhaps. And even though it felt that the attacks were not super successful, economically, honestly, not a bad spot to be in. Just imagine if you can get one cancel on that fourth hatchery. Then suddenly, I think HeRoMaRinE is in an amazing position.
Look at this production tab as well from HeRoMaRinE. So we've got like magnetic, or rather the Magfield Accelerator coming out. We've got Widowmines coming out as well. Maybe utilizing a lot of the Widowmine changes, given that an armory now renders them invisible. I'm liking this kind of transition. Also, if you are able to get out the Cyclones, they can protect the BCs a little bit. But we see that he's not over-committing to those against the Corruptors, which is also nice.
I'm really excited to see this, because I think it's a bit of a cliche to be like Reynor is weak against mech, as we have 9 Corruptors on the way. Is that what you're owing about, Ben?
I was mainly owing about getting the Yamato while not making a third BC, but no, he's not weak against mech. It's just he's so good against bio, right?
Yeah. That one queen somehow survives, and these battle cruisers are forced to teleport home once again, not getting too much done. But HeRoMaRinE's economy is still in a pretty good spot. We've been praising Gabe earlier today as well about this. He will always build SUVs, even if some of the attacks are sometimes a bit questionable, and maybe the multitasking is not always as quick as he too likes to say the younger players in Europe with his 23 years of age. I mean, when it comes to the macro part, I feel like HeRoMaRinE is always on the money.
Yeah, he's very, very well-rounded. Whenever I watch HeRoMaRinE play, I'm always like, man, he ticks all the boxes, right? Like, he's very good tactically, strategically, but he doesn't really falter in any regard either. Here, I like his defensive position. He's not going to die to anything kind of crazy, which is nice to be surviving against Reynor, because I feel that that's one thing that can really spiral out of control very quickly against Reynor, is he just starts killing you and doesn't stop.
Yep. And I also know that just like that, stylistically, these are kind of games that Reynor doesn't like. And that doesn't mean that he's bad at them. It's just Reynor does not enjoy these games of StarCraft 2 the same way as he enjoys a crazy hectic Link-Bane Muta game with Mutas flying in everywhere, avoiding Widowmine shots and explosions left, right, and center. That's the kind of StarCraft that Reynor truly loves. This is not really his game. Every now and then he knows he's forced. He could maybe catch these Hellions. That's sort of what he's trying to do, but Hellions are just a bit quicker than Roaches and Ravagers. But these Hellions still gonna have a hard time getting home. Roach is trying to cut them off, body blocking them as well. Multiple Hellions going down. Some good Roach movement there by Reynor.
It definitely was. And I like what you were saying. As Serral pointed out earlier, that youngster blood that some of these kids have, such as Reynor and Clem, and they want to be aggressive. They want to be impatient, you know? It's not something they've truly learnt yet. And Reynor, speaking of being aggressive, he is marching in with a lot of Roaches and Ravagers, but this is a very nice defensive setup for HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah. I feel like Gabe didn't have to do much there, right? Like everything was set up already. It's like, well... Yeah, one crossbow does connect with a Cyclone there at the tail end of that fight, but that was a little over-ambitious by Reynor, because there was really no reason why that would ever be successful. Gabe was super well set up. There were so many tanks there, even a couple of missile turrets as well, right, to protect whatever could potentially go down against these Corruptors. No, Reynor looking for openings, that definitely wasn't one of them.
No, it definitely wasn't. And like his army is very low tech. I like that he's kind of transitioning to getting a lot of spine calls and static defense, but trying to gun in here against these very, very locked down positions, it's...
Well, 3 tanks, or 2 tanks so far, but that final tank should go down as well. And this command center going down, that's, you know, some decent success here for Reynor. A lot more than in the previous attack, I'd say.
Definitely, and actually the tank count's been thinned down a lot here for HeRoMaRinE, and Reynor's done a really good job of remaxing, bringing the BCs home, So these BCs were harassing somewhere, the Corruptors came, and now he's back to deal damage and maybe help with his defense, but so many Biles just stopping them from actually catching up with him.
Yeah, they were on their way to harass actually, but they got intercepted mid-map, so they really didn't get anything done. Good movement there by Reynor, keeping track of the movement of those BCs as well. A couple of nice lock-ons here for HeRoMaRinE, getting 1 or 2 of those Ravages, but that was a much better attack by Reynor. This time he was able to get on top of these 4 or 5 tanks.
Yeah, and the tank count, it's definitely been whittled down. There's only 2 on the map, and HeRoMaRinE, he's transitioning entirely into Cyclones, but that base, the 3rd base, goes down to the Biles. Not a good situation for HeRoMaRinE.
Not at all, especially not after losing that previous command center as well. That one battlecruiser finally goes down. The last tank goes down as well. Actually, there's one more tank on the top side of our screen, but like, these raids wouldn't be that bad for HeRoMaRinE if he still had all his bases up and running, right? But he's got 80 SCVs now, Ben, and no place to put them, because we all know that 12 minutes into a game of Legacy of the Void, your main base is pretty much done. Even your natural starts running low, and just like that, HeRoMaRinE will tap out. Even though he still had 150 supply, he had 80 workers, but he had no place to put those workers.
No, he didn't, and I think that's one of those things where HeRoMaRinE tried something, like trying to get the Cyclones up and getting your tank count thinned out so harshly and managing to defend the first attack kind of easily. That's a loss that definitely feels rough.
Yeah, why do you think the Reynor was so successful with that attack on the right side there? Because it felt like it was also a pretty fortified position, but was there just not enough blocking for those tanks? Was it too easy for the Ravagers to get in range, or what exactly happened there?
I'm not entirely sure, you know, because I actually felt that Reynor was kind of headbutting against a bit of a wall there and was going to trade super duper unsuccessfully, but he seemingly had enough lings to take all the initial lock-ons, and then he got into a position where he could bile down all the tanks. Then there wasn't enough firepower, and if you keep making the Cyclones unable to lock on with the Biles, like you do a line of Biles so they can't get forward, then you can deal damage and stuff. It just felt like Reynor handled a very low, what's the word, technical army, as well as you can to keep your opponent from being able to deal damage to you.
I think that game did display a lot of growth as a player that Reynor has gone through as well, right, over the last 2 years, because those were the kind of games in the past where Reynor would sometimes be a little stubborn, and that first attack that really wasn't go anywhere, I feel like old Reynor may have committed a little harder there and try even harder to take out those tanks, and then suddenly find himself on the back foot in games like this. But this young man doesn't stop improving. He has shown us that he's getting better and better with time as well. Bottom right side, representing Clash, it's Reynor.
And spawning on the other side, as our Red Terran, it is HeRoMaRinE. But yeah, definitely a bit of a wounder for HeRoMaRinE there, because it is kind of sucky when you go for this defensive setup and seemingly your opponent's attacking into this defensive setup and you still lost. Like, that can always be a little bit of a wounder. I know we talk about some things like the 4 Hellions for the 6 drones wasn't the best, but it felt like there wasn't really too much opportunity for HeRoMaRinE to win that game. Like, it just felt a bit helpless.
Yep, it didn't really get going, let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that HeRoMaRinE had a proper plan for the mid to late game as well. And maybe then we could have seen that mech army really start moving out. But I think it was a lot about getting 4 bases up and running. And he did, but then it just ended, right? It felt that HeRoMaRinE was maybe 45 seconds away from getting to a place where he really wanted to be. But Reynor was just not letting him get there. And once again, I did really think that a game like that displays the improvement that Reynor has gone through as well over the last year. Because in the past, he's been stubborn in games like that and make a couple of very questionable attacks. The first one was a bit questionable, but he realized it on time, backed off, and waited for a better opportunity. And when he found it, he just didn't stop. Like, we know that Reynor never slows down if he sees an opportunity to end the game.
And he might have only gone for that attack because he sectioned off that huge group of Hellions and did a lot of damage that way. Maybe it wasn't in his mind that he would attack normally at that point. It was just like, I'll try it out and see how it goes, given that I took out a lot of Hellions. And he backed off in good time and actually sealed a really decent victory for him to start off this series.
Yep, because by no means that was an ultra committed attack either, right? Because he was positioning at home, he was still tacking up. It was more of one of those pokes of like, all right, I want to trade, I want to see if I can get something done, but let's see where this actually takes me. And he's like, oh, I might actually just be able to bring it home with this attack here. I don't think that was even necessarily part of the ultimate late game plan that Reynor had for that specific map and that scenario. Reaper not getting a lot done yet. On Golden Wall, not expecting HeRoMaRinE to play Bio, though. I know that we said, like, okay, but this map is just a bit different to me. This is not a Everdream or a Golden Wall where, you know, I feel like it's a bit more straightforward, and there is some serious strength into some of those 8 Rex builds that Terran players can go for.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Yes,
okay.
Kevin. I haven't seen this in a while. Ghost Academy coming down is the tech of choice for HeRoMaRinE, and I love this. I love the fact that he's doing something a bit weird.
Weak?
Yeah, a bit weak, yeah.
Wow, Ben. Wait to feel the hype over here, mate.
No. I've actually not had this work for me personally, but you know, this is one of those things that when you stream, it's like, hey, why don't you do the ghost build? I haven't seen it work for a while, but I know it was successful for it to get so much hype in the first place. But I remember you saying one thing about a player that was weaker than his opposition.
Overlord speed, Ben. Sorry, real quick.
Oh, there is Overlord speed.
Yep, it just finished up, and there is an Overlord heading into the main base of HeRoMaRinE. Let's see if Reynor gets everything that he's looking for. Oh, Ghost down south. Doesn't see the Ghost Academy yet. Still hasn't seen. Oh my goodness, he doesn't see it.
I mean, that is one way to not use Overlord speed very well.
Okay,
it's
now
like
he sees the Ghost. Ah, the Ghost reveals it. I guess that barracks and the tech lab positioning is a bit odd as well.
Definitely. I think that would give something away if everything else didn't.
That's a weird place to get stim, man. Like,
yeah, why'd you plonk this down here, hey? But yeah, whenever you play against somebody that you do deem better than you, and HeRoMaRinE deemed Reynor better, you have to try. You can't play a normal kind of just, oh, I'm going to play a little bit worse than you and you're going to beat me, because that's never going to result in a win. So doing something a bit cheeky, a bit crazy, I don't know how this is going to work out for him, especially given it's been scouted. Oh, yeah. It's a rough one.
Exactly. We see 16, 18 lings on the way, a couple of additional queens being built as well. And that Baneling nest is now already done. Reynor already sending Zerglings towards the left up side. Oh, there is a command center, and the supply depot did go down, so at least it's a wall up, and these lings won't show up in the natural. But I am a bit worried. Now, I want to ask you before this attack really kicks off, is there a way that HeRoMaRinE just doesn't commit to this build and doesn't make this move out?
I have no idea. I think you have to deal damage at this point. Like, I don't know whether he's going to use snipes on overlords across the map and then back off, but I think when you see this, when you see your opponent so well prepared for you, that you kind of have to go back home. But I wouldn't mind him, like, sniping a few overlords down, because I can't see these ghosts being super useful as this game goes on. Unless they literally last to Vipers.
Yeah, they are tanky though, right? Like if the Zerglings want to attack the Ghosts, then maybe the Hellions can get a couple of great shots off, but the Hellions are not helping out. The Ghosts were left by themselves, and yes, they're tanky, but if they get surrounded like that with no help, they will go down. Oh, this is an opening that fell flat on his face. And you know what, Ben? You were right. This opening is kind of weak.
You know, Kevin, I was thinking it, but it wasn't what I wanted to say. And then I thought about something else, and I was like, oh gosh, I just went and done it. But yeah, I like, honestly, I've never seen Ghost openings work, or at least not in the last year or so. I love the fact that HeRoMaRiNE's trying things, but it's just so hard to get an edge against Reynor, because Reynor's making all the right moves.
And at this point, this feels a bit of a hopeless game. Like, some people might be looking at this like, well, it's really that bad. It's like, yes, because all your timings are thrown off. Your rhythm is thrown off. And at the highest level, especially in the bio TVZ, you just want to get things going as quickly as possible. HeRoMaRiNE's build is delayed, which means he's going to face creep spread that's way further ahead. A couple of Banelings are waiting there as well on the other side of the side blocker, connecting with the Hellions. At this point, it feels like we're watching a Reynor highlight reel in this game. And this cannot possibly feel nice for HeRoMaRiNE.
No, this is when you're like, every thought that you've ever had going into this series and this match, and it was obviously something he's thought about, everything just fell flat on its face. It's such a bad feeling, and Reynor, he's doing what Reynor does, and this is what you wanted to avoid. You wanted to avoid these Ling attacks and just kind of feeling like your opponent's strangulating you a little bit.
Kind of funny. A Baneling drop is about to see the double drop of HeRoMaRinE. I hope that HeRoMaRinE is paying attention. Yes, he is. He turns around, but now Banelings can get dropped on these Marines. At least that's gonna... Whoa. Wow, that's amazing micro actually by HeRoMaRinE there in the end. At least he takes care of this, but this also obviously means that the double drop will hit even later and is even more revealed than it perhaps already was. So unlikely to get much done.
Removes a wound that could have happened though in his main base, because like, you know, the Terran has to constantly look at their army and split and stuff, so denying that's cool. And he does have the gold base behind all this. By the way, still making lots of Hellions, so going for a big bio Helmet army is HeRoMaRinE. Very unusual.
There's a Lurker Den already going down on the side of Reynor. How crazy is that? 7 minutes into the game. We've seen Reynor pull this off quite a few times. He's expanding like a madman as well, going up to 5 bases at this point, where HeRoMaRinE is going to try to push the creep back in the center and maybe get something done with this double drop. Obviously, the exchange is always a bit awkward on Golden Wall. The army in the main, in the center of the map, rather, seems to be in a little bit of trouble. There's a lot of queens here as well. HeRoMaRinE has to be very careful.
He does. So the worker count is 79 drones versus 61 SVs. The 61 SVs is a bit deceiving, just given that he does have the gold base and he's mining very well. HeRoMaRiNE's actually doing some nice maneuvering around the map, just kind of trading out a few Hellions here for some blings, so definitely not too bad. And he's actually eking out a bit of a supply lead here. Granted, a lot of the money that Reynor has is in tech.
Yep. I mean, there is a 26 worker advantage, and not a Baneling drop is heading towards the other side of the map. These Hellbats can actually be a bit annoying to deal with, but I do think we have some Hydras out, and that should make it a bit easier. Not the prettiest engagement there with the Zerglings, but the Banelings will keep it safe. Let's see if this Overlord drop is actually potentially going to get scouted by the double drop again as well. You said main, but I think he's going for the gold, right? Because the gold base, that's where the workers are so clumped up in general.
I think he's going for the gold, Kev, and is this one of those moments where you wait until your opponent's distracted by something? He's just going to go for it, and oh, that is not a reaction that you want to have.
I almost feel at this point it's not an all-in yet for HeRoMaRiNE, but he really needs to start getting some victories, whether it's on the top or in the center. The top is not going to work out. He's already splitting, and he still has a couple of units on the bottom side as well. He's setting up a triple drop with 4 medevacs, actually, one of them pretty much being empty in the main base. This can get some damage done. There are a couple of links, but the Marine count should be a bit too much to deal with. But we've got Lurkers already, Ben, and they're going to keep the main base safe now.
What a gnarly position to be in if you're HeRoMaRiNE. You've been trying to be as aggressive as you can. Your opponent's on 90 drones against you. Creep spread is decent. He's on 5 bases, and he has superior tech to you. Reynor's just been looking so damn good this game ever since shutting down that ghost tech.
Those Marines felt very clumped up, and a couple of the Baneling connections are decent. Good splits, though, but I feel there is so much Zerg. The Swarm is coming in from every angle. This army is so overstimmed as well, though, Ben. There's no HP left on these Marines. The main base, though, that's finally where HeRoMaRiNE does get a victory. A couple of scans seemed like it allowed him to pick off a Lurker or something. I don't know if that was enough, though. HeRoMaRiNE dropping on the top side of the map now as well. Gabe is picking up the pace, and he's finding damage.
I actually like how HeRoMaRiNE's approaching this game, though. Like, he really is fighting in 3 places at once, so taking a page out of Show's textbook here, not just 2 places at once, but 3 places, and now he's transitioning to tanks as well, getting 3-3 on the way. He's not out this game, and even behind all this, he got a 4th base.
Yep, and that was built on location, and because Reynor was so occupied in dealing with all the harassment that Gabe was throwing his way, Reynor actually uncharacteristically didn't have a couple of Zerglings there to slow that down. Now, we can't underestimate the power of Lurkers. It's still very hard for HeRoMaRiNE to win a straight-up fight, but I don't think he really wants to take a straight-up fight. He's like, no, this dropping thing actually went pretty well. Let's keep doing that, and let's see if we can keep being successful. Don't forget, though, that the Lurker upgrades are going to kick in soon as well, and that's going to make the Lurkers a lot more powerful defensively, too.
I know a lot of people might be like, oh, do you really go Lurkers in ZVT? If you can get to them, they are incredibly strong. They shred bio like no man's business. So the upgrades are going to get online fairly soon. That adaptive Talons will be strong. And Reynor, we do see that big blue arrow of units in the center of the map. But is he ready to really launch the attack just yet? Both closing in on 200 supply here.
This is going to get wild because I feel like HeRoMaRiNE doesn't know about this army that's in the center, but at the same time, Reynor doesn't really know where HeRoMaRiNE's units are. He really wants to flank this army. He's got Lurkers coming in from 2 angles. You almost never see that. This army gets absolutely obliterated. but maybe HeRoMaRinE can get something done with the tanks. Oh, the reaction there was a little bit late though by Gabe, right? Because there was no anti-air in that army, so he could have just picked up and get out of there.
Could have, but those adaptive talons just make them burrow and move so darn quickly. It's very hard to react in time, and when you have a player as good as Reynor pouncing on you like that, it's rough.
There is a double drop in the natural that's actually trading out decently so far, but there is a lurker that's going to barrel on the high ground, and even just 1 or 2 shots of these lurkers is enough to really soften up these kind of bio armies. I feel like Reynor is going to run into that planetary... Well, look at that planetary fortress at 9 o'clock. That is Fort Knox if I've ever seen it. 5 tanks and a PF and a couple of bio units left behind the middle line as well. Hard to bust, I'd say.
Certainly hard to bust. Oh, wow. Nice pickup by HeRoMaRinE, but nice pouncing by Reynor. You can really feel that he doesn't want to slow this game down. He really wants to be in HeRoMaRinE's face, and his army is so darn scary.
Yep, it's very technical as well. Now with a couple of Vipers in the mix, we're going to see up Ducks. Look at the amount of lurkers. Oh my goodness, I knew he had lurkers, but I didn't know he had this many. Reynor just marching forward there. He's got 16 lurkers out on the map. Most of them are over here. And you don't engage this, but maybe HeRoMaRinE can just kind of hold the high ground while still dropping the main base as well. Not bad at all by Gabe.
Not bad at all. Gabe's trying to hunt down these lurkers, but it is not something you can do. As soon as these guys burrow, they will decimate anything you have on the ground. HeRoMaRinE bought quite a bit of time, though, with this main drop and did a little bit of damage, so HeRoMaRinE is not down and out just yet.
And he's softening up that hive, and I really like the way that Gabe analyzed that situation there, where he's just like, I can't engage you, but I don't think you can really engage me either, because there were tanks on not one ram, but in all 3 rams. So where do you really want to go with your lurkers there? And that was a bit scary for Reynor, who was obviously distracted by that drop as well. HeRoMaRinE is definitely playing a strong game, considering how this game started.
Certainly is, and that's going to be quite a confidence boost for him, given that the Ghost opening wasn't the best, didn't work out the best for him, but he's absolutely playing a great game here and a big drop into the main base.
Yep, that hive has already softened up a little bit. I don't think HeRoMaRinE is going to be able to get it this time. Throws down the scan, thought about fighting the lurkers for a split second, but that's just a few too many lurkers. I don't understand why Reynor didn't mine out his backdoor minerals. It feels like that mineral wall has really been hurting him.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be hard to do, right? Like, you could definitely get it done, but HeRoMaRinE did take his 5th base. I know his gold base is mining out really badly at this point. And also, Kevin, taking out those back minerals of Reynor, then he could run through from a different direction, which would be awesome for him. These lurkers, jeez.
Yeah, it's so insane to see those spikes just go forward and destroy the Marauders in basically one volley. We've got a whole bunch of tanks, but we've got Vipers in the mix as well. There are a couple Ghosts out. Ghosts are going for a snipe. I would have loved to see an EMP there, actually, on all those Vipers, because they were right on top of each other as well. I'm not sure if that was really the fight that HeRoMaRinE was looking for. At the same time, there are Zerglings on top of a couple of siege tanks at the bottom. So that was a really good exchange as well for Reynor.
Oh, those were the saddest Ghosts of all time, but Liberators on the other side of the map trying to get some harassment done, and they are doing just that. Lots more Hydras coming out onto the field. Big upgrades coming in for Reynor as well, with the +3 melee almost done.
I'm a bit surprised to see these Liberators just squeeze in there, right? Because they flew across a lot of creep and a lot of Overlords as well, but Reynor did not pick up on it. It is kind of hard sometimes on the minimap to see things here, right? Because Golden Wall is really weird, where it's like, where you feel the map ends, it doesn't really end. And it feels like only half of the dot or something shows up on your minimap. I don't know if you experience the same thing, but I keep missing things.
No, I definitely have. So HeRoMaRiNE's going for like tanks and ghosts to deal with this lurker composition, as well as a few libs. That is so many lurkers. Big tank shots getting off. But as soon as these lurkers reach their destination, everything dies around them. Look at that. HeRoMaRiNE cannot get up this ramp to save his life.
Nope, but there aren't that many SCVs, and like you said, this base is kind of mined out anyway, so perhaps not the most important position on the map at this point. Yeah, Ghost Academy went down, but HeRoMaRiNE still has one in the back of his main base. I hope he's aware of that too, that he doesn't rebuild it immediately. There's just armies everywhere right now, maneuvering around. A couple of abducts do land, more tanks go down. What's the tank count at? We only have 4 tanks remaining, and even though HeRoMaRiNE's supply is still up there, Ben, how does he engage this army?
I'm not even sure you can. Like, this is Reynor pushing into tanks and such and kind of coming out victorious here. So trying to push against this army is so incredibly tough. And I actually played against this the other day in ladder because Stefano loves this kind of thing. I have no idea what army comp you come up with against this. It feels like you cannot go ground against it.
It seems like advanced ballistics would really help out, no?
Yes, yes. But then you have the Corruptors and the Vipers as well to deal with those.
And then you have Ghostman and you pew all of them out of the sky.
Oh, of course. And then it's battle crews, it's 100 supply. They just freaking fly in and decimate everything, you know? But
exactly. Tactical jump Yamato. I mean, you've got all the answers, man.
Fort Knox does deflect this big army of Reynor, but that amount of lurkers, he's just maneuvering around. Now he has the high ground as well.
He's got 17 lurkers on the map. And Viper left behind. That's a nice little pickup there. The problem is I don't see a way for HeRoMaRinE to properly engage. Maybe taking the bottom would be awesome if Gabe can squeeze one of his command centers there, but he also didn't mine out his backdoor minerals yet, so it's kind of hard to get there, I guess.
It's so tough. Like, the tanks obviously haven't been working out super well for HeRoMaRinE, but that's mainly because Reynor's been yoinking them at every point and just keeping the number really low, right?
Yep. In this game, 14 tanks have gone down, 14 lurkers as well, but Reynor has just been richer than HeRoMaRinE. So those numbers are okay. Reynor is setting up a big attack in the center, coming in from every angle with his lurkers. Gets on top of the bio, a parasitic bomb as well in the middle of all of these metavacs. And HeRoMaRinE is forced to retreat, but he is dropping on the bottom side, so he is going to get a bit of damage done there. Might even get the hive here, Ben. That would be kind of cool.
Wow.
And the drones are just derping there in the main.
This is a lot of damage being done for HeRoMaRinE, actually. Taking out 2 bases of Reynor. Like, he kind of realized he couldn't beat the army of Reynor. These lurkers, what are they doing? What are they doing, Kev?
Reynor? I mean, lurkers are great, and in the end, one lurker does survive, gets a couple of great shots off, but the bio units are still there. Reynor is now actually forced to bring back some of the other units he had in the center, and don't forget losing the hive as well. That's a bit painful. Where is that lurker then anyway? It's the third, so it's safe. And HeRoMaRinE cleaned out the entire main base of Zerg. Now, that I gotta say, this is something I see relatively often on Golden Ball, but still, it's a nice little victory for HeRoMaRinE.
It certainly is. There isn't really any AoE here. Oh, nice focus fire on these medevacs, picking them down one by one. I almost feel it might have been better to just stay there and kind of fight it, but he didn't know that there wasn't more AoE coming, and yes, there's more lurkers on the field now. Oh, it's a very nice attack by HeRoMaRinE, realizing that his objective to try and defend the army wasn't working and to deal the counterattack damage, but it might be a little too late.
17 lurkers storming forward into those tanks. They will siege and they will obliterate the front lines once again. A couple of tanks trying to do whatever they can, but it seems like HeRoMaRinE just doesn't have enough firepower in his army. GG gets called. Reynor picks up a 20-minute game 2 on Golden Ball. But all things considered, Ben, how this game started, I thought HeRoMaRinE made the best of it.
I think a little bit of a moral victory for HeRoMaRinE. Like, everything went as wrong as it could, even down to those Hellions with the sight blockers against the Banelings, just getting 4 of them blown up and stuff. I think they both played incredibly well. The Lurker stuff, though, that looked incredibly strong by Reynor, especially when in his hands.
Now, do you think this was Reynor also, I wouldn't say like showcasing a little bit, but being like, well, that was such a good start for me. Obviously, I want to win, but I think I can win in a very cool manner. So I want to go crazy on the Lurkers. I know Lurkers are super powerful as well in this matchup, but I feel like that was an easier way, perhaps, for Reynor to win this game.
Maybe, you know, that young blood curve, the youngster blood, it kind of get a bit showboaty, a bit stylistic and stuff. But honestly, I think it's very nice to win a game like that if you do feel you are far ahead. I do think it wasn't as easy as Reynor wanted it to be after that start, right? Like getting your main sniped and stuff, that shouldn't really happen. I'm looking forward to this because HeRoMaRinE's pulling out something a bit cheeky each game. The first game it was a mech opening. This game it was the ghost opening. I'm curious what he's going to pull out this game.
Pillars of Gold. I do feel this is a tricky map to play straight up bio, and obviously we already gone over the part where we feel that maybe HeRoMaRinE's key to victory is not to go for straight up bio, even though he's damn good at it. To save some of that maybe for the season finals, man. Maybe he's got like a little trick up his sleeve here and there in the ways that he wants to get into that steady and solid mid game that he is known for. I mean, if you can play those styles against Elaser, against Lambo, sort of, then you know, obviously it's not the worst thing in the world to try it against someone like Reynor as well, but I feel Pillars of Gold is a hard map to pull it off.
It's a very, very big map, and there's so much run-by potential. Honestly, going up against a guy like Reynor on this map, I'm I'm not envious of HeRoMaRiNE's position here, especially being down 0-2. Anyhow, spawning in the top right as our blue Zerg, it is Reynor.
In the bottom left side of Pillars of Gold, this man needs all the support he can get right now. He's played another great tournament, but he wants to break into those top 3s in those top 2s. It's looking dicey at this point, but maybe we're going to witness another StarCraft miracle. This is HeRoMaRiNE.
Is there anything when you watch Reynor, like specifically against Terran, that you're like, ooh, this is potentially something that he's not the best against?
Well, in the old days, I would have always said mech, and that was pretty, I think, obvious as well. These days, I still think he's a lot... I think he's weaker against mech than he is against bio. But, I mean, you're kind of putting me on the spot there, so I'd have to think about it a little bit. I think it's a bit map-dependent as well, though, right?
Like, I was asking mainly because when I watch Reynor play against Terran, I don't really feel he does have a weakness, so to speak. Like, I remember back in the day, it was like he didn't really use spellcasters, but now we see he is using spellcasters. He's using a lot of units with like spell abilities, like Vipers especially. But yeah, he's such a well-rounded player these days that it's so difficult for a Terran to approach this series and be like, ah, yeah, this is his weakness. This is how I'm going to exploit it, because I don't feel you can against Reynor at the moment.
Well, we might see some of that next week. Of course, both players already qualified for the season finals, and I'm looking forward to that, Ben. I look at that lineup, especially the one coming out of Korea. There's a couple of beautiful matches on paper. Let's say there's lots of potential. I don't want to say the certain word, but there is potential, Ben, that we'll see some epic clashes next week.
There's definitely going to be epic clashes. I'm excited for all the matches, actually. I'm also excited for the N8 matches later tonight, actually, which I didn't think I'd be saying that, but NA's been really awesome this year, and a lot of the newcomers have been stepping up massively and pulling out really good performances.
Yep, this is the last best of 5 for the European part of DreamHack Masters Summer, as another drone got saved. It almost felt that Reaper could have got one.
Could have got it,
yeah.
He shot the Ling. I think he was anticipating that he wasn't going to be able to... Oh!
Whoa, gets it! But now the Reaper might... Actually, doesn't go down. Hey, that's a great little start for HeRoMaRiNE. But yeah, just to finish that part up real quick, we've got 2 more best of 5 coming up after this, guys. We've got the upper bracket final of North America between Neeb and Future. That's going to be really cool. And then we've got a lower bracket match as well between Australia and Scarlet. Oh my goodness, is this the GSL now, Ben?
It is actually crazy that you mentioned that, because I mean, Scarlet's been doing well in GSL, and these Americans, they are doing pretty well right now. It's just so good to see the foreign scene flourishing so hard. There's so many freaking contenders now. Like, it's unbelievable. I know there's a lot of hype around Clem as a super up-and-comer, but Estrella as well, he's been absolutely rocking it. Like, he's absolutely gone up in my estimation tenfold. So,
Ben, you keep calling Clem an up-and-comer, right? When would you say he's no longer an up-and-comer and he has a
now?
What does he need to do? Oh, now?
Yeah.
All right, well, that ends that conversation.
yeah, that was pretty short-lived, that one. But no, I wanted him to... So I class this as like a big stage. I mean, realistically, I think like the next LAN that comes along when they are available, but I feel that's just being held off because of the current like global situation, right? I dare say when the next LAN comes around, Clem is absolutely going to be looked at and absolutely respected and feared by a lot of his competitors.
Yeah, don't even forget it, the next season of DreamHack Masters as well, right?
Yeah.
We won't just be doing summer and that's it. See you at Katowice, guys. No, we've got 2 more of these coming up. Generally can't wait. I actually get excited for every part of the tournament. Like even the qualifiers I find really intriguing, right? To see if some of these guys that have been knocking on the door of like top 32 of Europe, see if they can finally qualify. And I think America is getting really cool as well. See if we can get some new guys into the next round robins. It's honestly very fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Like your boys like Vanya popping off in this tournament.
Still a bit disappointed by the top 6 finish, man. Like I know,
yeah,
he's capable of more. Cyril didn't want to say it in the interview, but he DM'd me. He was afraid of Vanya. Like I've got it on the record.
On the record. Anyhow, this game. So HeRoMaRiNE did go for the Viking, which I think's already been paying off quite well. He killed an Overlord in the base, in his own base, denying scouting and such. Then he is going to go around the map and pick off a few Overlords. And it definitely has to be said, there are a few Overlords available here for Reynor. And back at home for Big Gabe, he is actually going for Bio again. I like that choice, though. I don't think he looked outplayed with his Bio at all.
Not at all, especially not considering where it all started. Now, we do gotta say that obviously Golden Wall has a lot of drop potential, right? And especially with Reynor not playing Mutas, playing Lurkers, it's always going to happen, I guess, that a couple of drops will be successful. I think just because those drops were excellent on Golden Wall, that's no guarantee we're going to see the same amount of success for HeRoMaRinE on this game, because Pillars of Gold just plays out super different, and Reynor will most likely pick a completely different playstyle as well.
Yeah, we haven't seen, well, given that this is only the third game of the series, so we've seen the Lurker stuff. And what was the first game again? I don't know.
It was the Ravager Corruptor against Mech.
Of course, of course. And I mean, there's many more styles that Reynor has up his sleeve that he can absolutely play. I know he's a big fan of the big Ling bling kind of play. He's also very good with mutas. And this map as well, this is a huge map. Like this to me shouts like, I want to be everywhere, especially since he's Reynor.
You really think this map is very big, isn't it, Ben?
Dude, it feels huge. And the amount of run-by potential here, there, and everywhere, it's so difficult when a Zerg starts like enveloping the whole map with creep, you know?
Man, if you would have told me in the beginning of the day that we were going to see this amount of Hydra Ling Bane, I would have been like, yeah, maybe a couple of games, but Cyril displaying it multiple games. Now Reynor opting to go for the Hydralisk Den as well. Could potentially go for Lurkers again, of course. I mean, this is where Lurk attack starts, but I'm a bit surprised by it, Ben.
I am a little bit too, given that, you know, Muta play's been so prevalent for quite some time, and it's not quite as, oh, if you don't survive the push, you lose anymore. And with how good these guys are at spreading creep, oh, it's Lurk attack immediately again. So
okay.
Reynor, he does like those Lurkers, it seems.
Yeah, and I mean, this map is massive.
I pointed out a few times, eh?
I mean, Gabe is a big man, Ben. We need to fit him somewhere, right? So, like, there's a reason why we vetoed Submarine over here.
He struggles to fit on this map, and even though it's so big. And this outpost, I love how these players have been utilizing tanks and stuff. Ooh, 3 more barracks being made before a 4th CC. Gabe is looking to do some old school parade pushing by the looks of it.
We're going to see a slightly more aggressive game with a lot of, I think, emphasis on the straight-up fights and not too much on dropping this game. It's going to be a little bit dicey perhaps against Lurkers, but we'll see how that plays out. Gabe a little sharper this game, I feel, with the pickups, right? Last game, a couple of times, especially early on, he was a little bit late, and Lurkers got a lot of great shots off. This time, it seems like he's definitely paying attention to each and every single unit that's out on the map.
Yeah, I think also this game, he's resorting back to something that's been around for so long that I know he loves specifically, that maybe he just feels a bit more comfortable. Like, this is going back to the basics for him, where it's like, okay, I'm comfortable. We've tested things out now. I'm 0-2 down, nothing to lose. Let's just go with something that I know I'm very good at.
I'm kind of worried about this left side. I think this time HeRoMaRinE has enough units in position, as we've got a little skirmish in the center of the map as well. But I can already see if Gabe really goes for the push, then he needs to leave something behind here, right? Otherwise, we know that Banelings are going to blow up those depots and going to make it super easy for additional Banelings and Zerglings to get inside of that mineral line. Did Reynor really pick up on what's actually happening? I feel like Reynor always initially scouts. The follow-up scout, he hasn't seen that much. I think all that he has seen is a lot of Marines and tanks. And maybe that's enough, as Lurkers are getting their first few shots up. HeRoMaRinE is actually just kind of running into them, but then he's not taking out the Lurkers yet.
No, he is not, but that is so many Marines, and HeRoMaRiNE's just marching onto creep. There aren't actually that many Banelings, and nice micro so far on both sides. Reynor not overcommitting, but Reynor, this isn't it. He's got a big run-by on that left side that is going to get into that mineral field.
Yep, I feel like this one we saw coming from a little while away. 14 SCVs go down immediately. Gabe a little slow at lifting the orbital there as well. Does get it in the end. There is a tank in range of those Lurkers. Oh, Reynor saves one of them. I'm mostly concerned about the Vipers, man. Vipers are already out. HeRoMaRinE is dropping the top left side as well. That's kind of cool, as this hatchery is going to go down.
HeRoMaRiNE's in a lot of the right places, all at the right time. Like, here he's potentially going to pick off 2 of the bases, setting Reynor back to 3 bases only. Yeah, his 3rd base got ruined economically, but it's also a lot of overlords going down. Holy crap. He's at a massive deficit of 144.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where that happened. Maybe left top side or something, top left. I don't know. Adaptive Talents is on the way. Like, as cool as all of this is so far for HeRoMaRinE, I feel like he needs more, Ben. He's on 49 SCVs. He's going to pick up 3 medevacs full of bio units and fly into the main base. Well, this is perhaps a way to get more as he leaves a couple of tanks on the low ground as well. HeRoMaRinE with some really cool plays. Let's see if he gets the damage that he's looking for.
This is kind of scary for Reynor, honestly. I mean, the Vipers, they make short work of those tanks on the low ground. Nice parasitic bomb as well. HeRoMaRiNE's still ahead in supply, and he's still pushing. Like, Reynor is by no means out of trouble yet. He's also getting some really scary lurker upgrades going.
Another massive run by though on the left side, and Gabe just pulled all of the units. The doors are wide open here. The depot wall hasn't even been rebuilt. So these SCVs are all sorts of trouble. HeRoMaRiNE's bringing everything back, Ben. I'm not sure if I like that. At this point, I feel like he was all in anyway, so he may as well just go for it.
Yeah, this is exactly what Reynor wants. As soon as he sees this army marching back home, he's like, well, I just bought the time that I needed. That 4th and 5th base, I've remade them. Also, I'm getting my big lurker upgrades. Adaptive Talons is done. Also, the lurker range coming online, and this drop shut down.
Oh my goodness, he needs to split the medevacs. He's not doing it yet. 1 medevac goes down. The second one barely survives, but they're super low on HP at this point, so the next parasitic bomb will take care of it. Reynor has to be careful with his circlings there. I mean, even though HeRoMaRinE is maxed out, he never started those 3-3 upgrades. He's obviously not transitioning into anything. I really feel he is very all in. He is incredibly committed. And I don't know if he can run into those lurkers on the left side. Reynor is actually the one engaging HeRoMaRinE, who was not paying attention. A little late getting out of there, loses a couple of Marines and tank or 2.
This is the kind of game that Reynor likes to play. Non-stop action, and Reynor, he's defending, he's attacking. He's got HeRoMaRinE on the ropes, and there's no 4th base in sight. And boom, the Banelings blow up the 3rd mineral line, at least. All the SCVs and defending here, there, and everywhere. Fights going off everywhere. Reynor's just shutting HeRoMaRinE down.
Wow, Reynor is looking bulletproof over here. Indeed, displaying great skill with Vipers, man. I kind of like that you touched upon this, because I feel like, you know, we're kind of expecting that kind of stuff out of Reynor. But even when Reynor was amazing in 2019, especially early on, and even in parts of 2018 already, he definitely lacked a little bit in the part of controlling stuff like Infestors and especially Vipers. Sometimes just didn't make them. He's looking great with them in this game as he's running forward one more time. Lurker Spines going forward, obliterating that tank. There is a drop in the main base, but Lurker's already in position to deal with that as well. Even though HeRoMaRinE did a beautiful job in splitting up those Marines, and he might actually get the hatchery here.
He might. He's going for the Lurkers, actually. Nice burrow on them, and picks up and gets away. He's still very much behind, though. Even though he's happy with the amount of damage that he dealt just then, he had so much more work to go.
But even those parasitic bombs are really hurting. Like, I actually love that Reynor just keeps dropping it, because it makes it a lot easier to eventually take care of this drop. And yeah, like if HeRoMaRinE was playing this game with 70 SCVs and a 4th command center, we'd be like, wow, he's really making plays happen and he's hurting Reynor. The fact that he has 39 SCVs, no 4th command center, never started 3-3 attack upgrades. I think that's a very important one as well. It just kind of feels that eventually this is going to run out of steam if it's not happening already.
Yeah, I mean, his main is kind of mined out, so is his natural. Like, remember, he's been muling as well on these 3 bases, and Reynor's just slowly swallowed the map, and Reynor's now 200 supply against 130 of HeRoMaRinE. He's got better upgrades on his units as well with the +3 armor. And that is so many lurkers just marching at HeRoMaRinE. Big, big burrows, zerglings everywhere. HeRoMaRinE shut down entirely, doubling his supply now.
I think we're looking at the last moments of HeRoMaRinE in DreamHack Masters Summer. When it comes to European qualifiers, we'll see more of him next week at the seasonal finals. But unfortunately, it seems like it's going to end here with another top 4 finish. Still trying to make something of the last few Marines he's got out on the map. Once again, Ben, it seems that HeRoMaRinE is running into that wall that is Reynor or Serral when it comes to top European StarCraft.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, there is a top little plateau that seemingly has Serral and Reynor perched on top of it, and maybe Clem now too. HeRoMaRinE sits just behind that little cluster, which means he's very, very darn good, but it isn't quite enough to take down Reynor this time.
Yep, I love the positioning here with the tank, with the Liberators, but these Marines is just not enough. Reynor's got so many freaking units everywhere. Doesn't have a lot of anti-air, so it's actually kind of annoying for him to deal with these Liberators. At the same time, we've got Marines just stimming in, taking down a lot of drones. HeRoMaRinE refuses to go down without a fight. Feels like a hopeless battle, but he's really making the best of it.
He's fighting tooth and nail. This does not look like he's got half the supply, but Reynor clinches.